Friends, this Russian-Ukraine war is going on for the last so many years, and there doesn't seem to be an end to the whole thing. Russia with its bloated ego and Ukraine being supported by the NATO forces and US. And let us wait for what is going to happen with Trump coming into power. But if Trump doesn't put his foot down and if the war carries on, let us say to 2030, then what? So let us consider this scenario for the Russia-Ukraine war to be carrying on to the year 2030. As much as a US President Donald Trump or third parties tried to force a final settlement of lasting peace, they only succeeded in getting the two sides to agree to a series of measures to manage their wars, with neither Moscow nor Kiev accepting each other's war aims and with neither side strong enough to decisively defeat the other. The two countries are mired in a low intensity but continued conflict with occasional limited skirmishes. A complete end to the fighting is nowhere in the sight. In some ways, the situation is reminiscent of the period after the first Russian invasion in 2014, when the Europe brokered Minsk agreements contained but did not end the war in Ukraine's Donbass region during the 8 years that preceded the much larger 2022 invasion. So in this scenario, Western support for Ukraine will continue, but it has dwindled as the United States shifts focus towards strategic rivalry with China and as populist pro-Russian parties gain ground in European countries. Russia continues to receive some support from North Korea and other partners, but this has not enabled a decisive breakthrough. As the United States seeks to peel Russia away from China, Europe sees a managed Russia-Ukraine conflict as less risky than an all-out war. In this 2030 scenario, the Russia-Ukraine war has become less intense. Both sides and their supporters appear to have accepted the suboptimal outcome of a managed low-intensity conflict, and the globe has become more and more unstable. So looking back from this imagined 2030, how did we get there and what are the likely consequences for the Ukraine, Russia and the world if this scenario comes to pass? The scenario of a managed war requires Russia and Ukraine to agree to a series of concessions, and they have to make final agreements in case of stopping a nuclear war, looking after the civilians, looking after the housing, and also stop this damage which is shattering the economy of Russia. Ukraine is devastated, and also it is hampering the economy of the European countries. US is now looking towards China because China has its own ambitions. So there needs to be an exchange of prisoners, and also this low intensity conflict has to finish, and Putin has to put his ego into his bag so that he can broker out a peace so that the people have respite, and this condition of reaching 2030 does not evolve. So let us see what happens in the next 6 months, because that will show us whether this war will carry on till 2030 or will dwindle down and an agreement will be reached. So keep watching my channel and share these videos so that you can get more knowledge on international relation topics which will benefit you in your life. Jai Hind.